Here is something no 15-minute doctor's appointment ever has time to properly explain. While you are asleep tonight, your kidneys will be doing some of the most important work they perform all day. They will be filtering your blood, helping regulate your blood pressure, and clearing out the metabolic waste that accumulated while you were awake. And what you choose to eat in the hour or two before you go to bed has a direct, measurable influence on how smoothly that overnight process actually goes. Almost every conversation about kidney health focuses entirely on subtraction, less sodium, less potassium, less phosphorus, and all of that genuinely matters. But there is an equally important piece that almost nobody ever discusses, which is what you can actively add to your evening routine to support your kidneys while they do this overnight work. Tonight, I am walking you through 8 fruits that are recognized as kidney-friendly choices, each one offering real antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and kidney-supportive value specifically suited to nighttime eating. Before we get started, if you find this useful, go ahead and subscribe so you do not miss videos like this one, and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from tonight. I read every single one. Stay with me all the way through fruit number 8, because it comes with a catch that almost no other video on this topic ever mentions, and it is something you genuinely need to know before you eat it. I am Dr. Marcus Reyes, and I have spent more than 15 years practicing internal medicine. Before we get into the 8 fruits themselves, I want to take just 2 minutes to explain how your kidneys actually work, because it will make everything else in this video click into place. Your kidneys are 2 fist-sized organs sitting just below your rib cage on either side of your spine. Together, they filter an enormous volume of blood every single day, removing waste, excess fluid, and metabolic byproducts, and returning clean, properly balanced blood back into your circulation. Potassium is a genuinely essential nutrient. It helps your nerves fire correctly, helps your muscles contract properly, and helps your heart maintain a steady rhythm. But here is the complication. In people whose kidneys are already compromised by disease, excess potassium cannot be filtered out efficiently, and it can build up to dangerous levels in the bloodstream, a condition doctors call hyperkalemia. This creates a genuine tension at the center of kidney-healthy eating. Your kidneys benefit enormously from the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds found in fruit, because those compounds help calm the chronic inflammation that drives kidney disease forward. But many of the richest sources of those same compounds, bananas, oranges, melons, are also relatively high in potassium, which can be genuinely risky for someone with reduced kidney function. The 8 fruits I am covering tonight are specifically chosen because they resolve that tension. They deliver real nutritional benefit, fiber, antioxidants, and vitamins, without carrying the potassium burden that makes many other fruits a poor choice for someone managing kidney disease. Let's start with fruit number 1, tart cherries, and out of everything on this list, this one is the most specifically suited to nighttime eating. Tart cherries contain a natural plant compound that functions similarly to melatonin, which may support a healthier circadian rhythm. They are also considered a low-potassium fruit, generally recognized as an appropriate choice across the different stages of kidney disease, and they carry only trace amounts of sodium and phosphorus. Here is why the timing matters so much. Your kidneys regulate blood pressure partly through a rhythm that is tied closely to your sleep cycle, and blood pressure is supposed to drop somewhat during deep sleep, a pattern sometimes called nocturnal dipping. When sleep is disrupted or poor in quality, that healthy overnight drop often fails to happen properly, and your kidneys end up absorbing hours of sustained higher pressure that can contribute to gradual damage over time. Better sleep quality supports better nighttime blood pressure control, which in turn means less overnight pressure stress placed directly on the delicate filtering vessels inside your kidneys. That chain of benefit, from better sleep to better nighttime blood pressure to less kidney stress, is real, and it is exactly why tart cherries earn the top spot on this list. What to do tonight? Half to 1 cup of tart, sour cherries, or 4 to 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice, roughly 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Choose sour or tart variety specifically, since sweet cherries fall into an entirely different, higher potassium category. Fruit number 2 is blueberries, one of the most thoroughly researched foods in all of modern nutrition, and it turns out to be genuinely well suited to kidney health specifically. Blueberries are a good source of fiber, vitamin C, and vitamin K, and a typical half-cup serving carries a relatively low potassium load, making them a suitable choice across essentially every stage of kidney disease, including for people on dialysis. The specific compounds that make blueberries valuable here are called anthocyanins, the same broad family of anti-inflammatory plant pigments found in tart cherries, but present in somewhat different proportions and acting through slightly different mechanisms. These compounds have been associated with meaningful reductions in cardiovascular strain, and this overlap matters more than it might first appear because cardiovascular disease and kidney disease frequently share the same underlying inflammatory pathways and often progress together. For anyone over 60, protecting both your heart and your kidneys through the exact same evening habit without adding any real potassium burden is precisely the kind of efficient choice a kidney-conscious diet should be looking for. What to do tonight? A half cup of blueberries makes an ideal bedtime portion, enough to deliver a genuine anthocyanin benefit without adding a meaningful potassium load, and fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried berries all preserve their antioxidant content reasonably well. Fruit number 3 is strawberries, one of the sweetest naturally low potassium options on this entire list. Strawberries are a good source of vitamin C, manganese, and folate. They are very low in calories, and they carry one of the lowest potassium counts of any commonly eaten fruit, which makes them a suitable choice even for people managing more advanced kidney disease under strict potassium limits. Strawberries have also been associated with measurable increases in the body's own antioxidant capacity, a marker connected to reduced oxidative stress, which happens to be one of the primary drivers behind the gradual progression of chronic kidney disease. At night specifically, strawberries also contain small amounts of natural melatonin precursors and tryptophan, not at the concentrated level found in tart cherries, but enough to contribute a mild, relaxing effect as part of a light evening snack. What to do tonight? Half a cup of fresh or frozen strawberries, rinsed just before eating to preserve freshness, and for a slightly more filling option, pair them with a small serving of plain, unsweetened yogurt for a complete kidney-friendly evening snack. Fruit number 4 is the apple, the most universally available kidney-friendly fruit on this list, and also the most consistently underestimated. Apples are rich in fiber and antioxidants, and they are low in potassium, phosphorus, and sodium, making them an excellent everyday choice for a kidney-conscious diet. Eating the peel rather than discarding it multiplies the antioxidant value considerably, since a large share of an apple's beneficial compounds are concentrated in the skin itself. Apples may also help moderate blood sugar response when eaten whole rather than as juice, which matters enormously for the large number of people over 60 managing both kidney disease and blood sugar concerns at the same time. The fiber in a whole apple slows glucose absorption, helping reduce the kind of overnight blood sugar swings that can complicate kidney function. There is also a lesser-known connection worth knowing about kidney stones specifically. Adequate hydration paired with citrate-related compounds, which apples contain in the form of malic acid, may contribute to a more alkaline urine environment, which is generally considered more protective against the most common type of kidney stone than an acidic one. What to do tonight? 1 medium apple, peel on, eaten slowly as part of your evening routine, optionally paired with a light dusting of cinnamon, which adds its own modest blood sugar, stabilizing benefit alongside the apple's natural fiber. Fruit number 5 is grapes, and this is the one that most often genuinely surprises people, because many assume grapes must be high in potassium. In reality, grapes are consistently classified as a low potassium fruit choice, grouped alongside apples, blueberries, and strawberries as one of the safer lower potassium options compared with high potassium fruits like bananas, melons, and oranges. The compound that makes grapes particularly interesting is resveratrol, a polyphenol concentrated mainly in the skin of red and purple grapes, alongside the flavonoids responsible for their deep coloring, compounds that have been associated with a modestly reduced risk of blood clot formation, a genuinely relevant benefit, given that people managing kidney disease often carry elevated cardiovascular risk as well. Grapes also solve a very practical problem for anyone on a fluid restriction, since they can be frozen and eaten slowly as a cool, satisfying, thirst-quenching snack that does not add the fluid volume that a glass of water or juice would. What to do tonight? A small handful of red or purple grapes, roughly half a cup, and if you are managing a fluid restriction, freeze them first and eat them slowly, since red and purple varieties consistently deliver more of the beneficial pigment compounds than green grapes do. Fruit number 6 is raspberries, quite possibly the highest fiber option on this entire list for its size, and fiber turns out to matter for kidney health far more than most people realize. Raspberries sit comfortably within the low potassium category, alongside blueberries, strawberries, and grapes, and a half-cup serving delivers a genuinely notable amount of fiber, roughly double what you would get from most other fruits in the same portion size. That fiber content supports kidney health through two distinct pathways. First, it feeds the beneficial bacteria living in your gut, which in turn produce compounds that help lower systemic inflammation, the same chronic inflammation that drives kidney disease progression forward. A healthier gut environment is increasingly recognized in kidney research as being connected to a slower overall disease trajectory. Second, fiber slows the absorption of everything else eaten alongside it, including phosphorus from other foods in your evening meal, and since phosphorus management is one of the central challenges in a kidney-conscious diet, a fiber-rich fruit eaten near dinner creates a mild but genuinely meaningful protective effect on how much phosphorus your body absorbs afterward. What to do tonight? Half a cup of fresh or frozen raspberries as a bedtime snack, and frozen raspberries are often considerably more affordable while remaining just as nutritionally complete as fresh ones. Or combine them with a portion of tart cherries for a bedtime berry mix that stacks several kidney-supportive benefits together at once. Fruit number 7 is pineapple, and this is the one that surprises people most, because it is acidic, tropical, and does not fit the mental picture most people have of a kidney-protective food. Despite that, pineapple is regularly classified as a low-potassium fruit choice suitable for people managing kidney disease, making it one of the safer tropical options available for anyone watching their potassium intake closely. What makes pineapple particularly interesting is bromelain, a natural enzyme found in fresh pineapple that carries documented anti-inflammatory properties, and since kidney disease progression is driven so heavily by chronic inflammation, any naturally occurring anti-inflammatory compound that fits comfortably within a kidney-friendly diet is genuinely worth knowing about. There is also a small sleep-related bonus here. Fresh pineapple contains tryptophan, the same amino acid precursor to serotonin and melatonin found in several of the fruits already discussed, contributing to a more relaxed, gently winding down feeling when eaten in the evening. What to do tonight? Half a cup of fresh pineapple cut into chunks as a light evening snack, and reach for fresh rather than canned whenever possible, since the canning process typically involves enough heat to destroy much of the bromelain content. Fruit number 8 is the one I asked you to stay for, cranberries, and this is genuinely the one with a catch. Cranberries have been associated with urinary and kidney health for decades, and there is real research behind that connection, but there are two specific details that most videos on this topic consistently get wrong, and I want to give you the accurate, complete picture of both. Certain compounds found in cranberries appear to help prevent bacteria from adhering to the bladder wall, and some research suggests that cranberry products may modestly reduce the recurrence of urinary tract infections in people who have already experienced them before. However, and this part matters enormously, cranberry products do not treat an active infection that is already underway, and the preventive evidence itself is generally described as limited and inconsistent rather than definitive. So the honest picture here is that the benefit is real but modest, applies most clearly to prevention rather than treatment, and should never be relied upon in place of medical care for a genuine infection. Now here is the catch that is specific to kidney health. Raw cranberries are extremely tart and are almost never eaten plain, which means most cranberry products sold for health purposes, juice cocktails, sweetened dried cranberries, and flavored supplements often contain substantial amounts of added sugar. Sugar-sweetened beverages in general have been linked to an increased risk of kidney disease over time, which means a cranberry juice cocktail marketed specifically as being good for your kidneys, can simultaneously contain enough added sugar to work directly against that same goal. The genuine benefit lives in the unsweetened, whole cranberry form, not in the sweetened products that most people actually end up buying at the store. What to do if you choose to use cranberries for kidney health? Pick unsweetened cranberry juice, unsweetened dried cranberries in small portions, or raw or frozen whole cranberries, and avoid sweetened juice cocktails and flavored supplements entirely. And if you suspect you currently have an active urinary or kidney infection, see a doctor promptly, since cranberries are not a treatment. One additional caution worth mentioning: there is some conflicting evidence about whether cranberry products interact with blood thinning medication. So if you take a blood thinner, mention any regular cranberry use to your pharmacist before making it a daily habit. Now that you know all 8, let me give you one simple combination you can put together tonight without any complicated preparation. Take a small bowl and combine half a cup of tart cherries, a small handful of blueberries, and 3 or 4 fresh strawberries. That single bowl delivers natural sleep-supportive compounds for better nocturnal blood pressure control, a broad range of anti-inflammatory antioxidants, meaningful vitamin C, useful fiber for gut health and phosphorus moderation, and a potassium level low enough to remain appropriate across most stages of kidney disease. No supplements, no prescriptions, just 3 kidney-conscious fruits in a bowl, eaten roughly 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you want to add a liquid component, a small glass of unsweetened tart cherry juice alongside this bowl is about as close as you can get to a genuinely food-based bedtime kidney routine. A quick but important note on when to actually call your doctor. Every fruit discussed tonight is a reasonable choice in general terms, but general terms are never the same as your own individual situation. If you are managing more advanced chronic kidney disease, your potassium and phosphorus limits may be strict enough that even these lower potassium fruits need to be tracked carefully within a specific daily allowance, and your kidney dietitian is genuinely the right person to tell you exactly how these 8 fruits fit into your personal plan. In earlier stages of kidney disease, there is usually no strong need to restrict potassium unless blood work shows it running high, but in more advanced stages, a doctor or dietitian may recommend tighter limits. If you have not had your kidney function checked recently and you are over 60, that is worth requesting at your very next appointment. A simple blood panel measuring your basic kidney markers gives you a clear, current picture of exactly where things stand, and you genuinely cannot make fully informed decisions about any of this without knowing those numbers first. Let me tell you briefly about a patient I will simply call Carol, 72 years old, managing early-stage kidney disease alongside poor sleep and recurring urinary infections. When we reviewed her diet together, she had quietly eliminated almost all fruit from her routine, out of a reasonable but overly broad fear that fruit automatically meant dangerous potassium. What she had actually done, without realizing it, was remove one of the richest available sources of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and natural sleep support from her entire evening routine. We rebuilt her evening habits together around exactly the fruits discussed tonight: tart cherries before bed for sleep and overnight blood pressure support, blueberries and strawberries for broad antioxidant coverage, and small portions of unsweetened cranberries a few times a week for urinary support. Within about 6 weeks, her sleep quality had noticeably improved, her recurring infections had become far less frequent, and her kidney markers at her next routine check had remained stable, a genuinely reasonable and realistic goal at her stage. What she told me she found most surprising was how satisfying the new bedtime routine felt. It functioned like something she was adding to her health rather than one more thing being taken away from her, and that shift made the whole plan considerably easier to sustain than any purely restrictive diet she had tried before. Everything covered in this video is general educational information based on widely available kidney nutrition guidance, and it is not personalized medical advice. No dietary change should ever replace the individualized recommendations from your own kidney dietitian. If you are managing advanced kidney disease, are on dialysis, take blood-thinning medication, or have been given specific dietary restrictions by your care team, Always confirm any new food addition with them before making it a regular habit. Here is your simple action plan for tonight. Tart cherries, half to 1 cup, or unsweetened tart cherry juice, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Blueberries, half a cup, fresh or frozen, as a bedtime snack. Strawberries, half a cup, safe across nearly every stage of kidney disease. An apple, 1 medium, peel on for fiber and blood sugar stability. Grapes, a small handful of red or purple varieties, frozen if you are on a fluid restriction. Raspberries, half a cup, the highest fiber option on the list. Pineapple, half a cup, fresh rather than canned, for its natural anti-inflammatory enzyme. And cranberries, unsweetened only, a few times a week, for modest urinary support, with a quick check with your pharmacist first if you take a blood thinner. Start tonight with just the first 3. Build your simple bedtime bowl, and introduce the remaining fruits one at a time over the following week so you can genuinely notice how your own body responds. If you are going to build that bedtime bowl tonight, tell me in the comments which 3 fruits you are starting with. I read every single one. And if this kind of practical, well-grounded information is what you want more of, go ahead and subscribe, because new videos come out every week covering exactly what current research says about kidney health and healthy aging after 60. I am Dr. Marcus Reyes, and in the next video, I am covering 5 everyday drinks that may quietly be putting extra strain on your kidneys, including one that is marketed specifically as a health drink. I will see you there.